Welcome back to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. We've been coming to you live for the past 3 days from the Singapore Fintech Festival, and no better way to wrap up coverage than with our friends over at TD Ameritrade. Joining me to close out coverage, we have Chris Brankin. He is the CEO of TD Ameritrade Singapore. We're going to take a look at Asia retail investor trading trends. Chris, it is great to have you back with us.
Great to have you. Great to be on.
And TD Ameritrade, you introduced the Investor Movement Index, which we cover in the US, the IMX as we affectionately call it, where we're looking at retail trading trends. Are there any similarities with Asia retail traders versus US?
Absolutely. Look, I would say the main similarity that we see is they're both cautiously optimistic. So we see, both customers from not only around the globe, but also our Asian customers have been adding net exposure over the last 3 months. So they've been net new buyers. We see lots of similarities between what they're buying and selling, with some slight differences. Like as on the buy side, we see people all buying Amazon, Walt Disney, Microsoft. But for our Asian clients, we also see them buying Starbucks, Altria Group, and what was the last one that we had here?
So more like
Neo.
consumer.
Yeah. So we see tech for the buying and selling on both sides across the board. Now, for our Asian customers, we see some kind of focus around some of the Asian stocks, like Neo is a big net new buy, a Chinese electric car manufacturer company. Pretty low price stock right now, but we do see a lot of interest from that from our clients out here in Asia.
All right, and Ameritrade, you have the new education center, which is so key for the Asia region.
Yeah, so we actually launched it here on National Day in Singapore. So I had my team in the office, so I said I'll always remember National Day 2019, because we were in the office early on that Friday morning out here in Singapore to kind of test and make sure the education center launched. Now this is something that we've been asking for a long time, because this is on-demand videos, and that's what people want, digestible videos. We have hundreds of on-demand videos and articles that not only teach you about our trading platform, but also teach you about trading strategies, about risk, about diversification, and it's literally only just the beginning for that. So we're adding more and more to that every month, and we're going to continue to add to that, so we have more on-demand content for our customers available here in Singapore.
All right, while we have you out here, let's get your market's outlook, because I can tell you in the States, we are hyper-focused on what's happening with US-China trade. We're just coming out of earnings season there, and everything's going to go back to really what's happening in the macro environment. Is that kind of happening here in Asia as well?
Well, absolutely. I think three things that we focus on. We see, not only the geopolitical landscape, what happens with the Fed, and in terms of overall earnings picture. So we see the Fed kind of taking their cards off the table, so to speak, here for the remainder of 2019, and we don't anticipate any type of moves based on where the Fed funds futures are at. We see earnings have been a little bit better than expected. Now the bar was really low, but we did beat on the earnings, 75% on the earnings per share and 60% on the revenue side. So we did have a decent earnings season so far, and we're about 90% of the way through it. The last thing, the geopolitical landscape, is really the thing that is not only driving the market sentiment, but is also driving the markets in the US and globally of where they're headed, higher or lower. Basically, if Trump and Xi seem to come to some type of negotiation or potential framework, markets volatility drops, global markets rally. If we see the opposite, or they think frameworks are falling apart, we've seen this constantly over and over. We see markets sell off, volatility spike, but the main thing that we do see our customers at TD Ameritrade is they're taking advantage of these dips, and they have been buying them consistently all through 2019, and they have been rewarded for it.
All right, to wrap up here, global customer sentiment and forecast for 2020.
Look, again, really similar to U.S. I think cautiously optimistic. They will be paying attention in terms of what kind of pathway that the Fed is heading out into 2020. If you look at the Fed funds futures, a big thing that I like to look at, we don't even see anything until possibly June of 2020, and that's really at a 50-50 chance. So what really drives that is inflation. Are we really going to see some inflation in the markets? Are we going to see energy markets tick back up? And I think a lot of that falls hand in hand in terms of what we see in terms of U.S., China, and what happens with Brexit, because if we get the confidence in the corporations back online, then we see some of that CapEx spending, maybe we see an uptick in demand, and then we have some real type of inflation in the market that might help paint a better picture for customers going forward.
All right, Chris, thanks so much for wrapping up coverage with me.
All right, cheers, thanks so much.
An extra special thanks to our Nasdaq thought leaders, clients, and guests that we've had throughout the past 3 days at the Singapore Fintech Festival. I'm Jill Malandrino, wrapping up coverage for you from the Singapore Fintech Festival.